man. I need to come up with an intro for this thing because that 30-second thing.
Well, we could always, get creative with it. We could just make up our own theme song for this, like Yellow Jackets. They're gonna sting with the heat they bring from their many traumas.
Yeah. Another Carla original.
What can I say, baby?
You'll have to record that and then I'll set it to some music from Canva. And that
Yeah,
is
it'll
intro.
be great. Because you would think that I would remember stuff that came out of my mouth. And yet, not so much.
Anyway, so we haven't even introduced ourselves.
The people, they know.
So we are still doing our thing. It's called our Yellowjackets live stream reactions. I just have not promoted these at all. I've been really bad about that. I know it's not that I don't love this show or want to talk about this show. I'm just bad at promoting this, obviously. And Jen unfortunately couldn't make it. It's my fault that she couldn't make it because she didn't realize what
No,
was
we
so
already
weird.
discussed this. Listen, we
Oh, that's
discussed
right.
this in
It's Jen.
DMs. We decided that this is Jensen Ankle's fault. I haven't quite come up with how, but I've decided that it's his fault. I think here's just a working theory, that there were like new pictures, like new, NEW, not
Not nude.
NUDE. Just let's not be confused by my lack of enunciation. There were recent pictures of him posted, and maybe, Aaron and Jen were both very distracted by staring at his disgusting face and just couldn't think of anything else, which I think is a pretty valid excuse.
You're right. You're right, Carla. It's
I
a
often
valid
am.
excuse. So yeah. So, but Carla is here, obviously. Um, and I'm somewhat here. I don't know. I'm not fully here, but I'm here. And we are talking about season 2, episode 5 of Yellowjackets. And of course, we are going to do a podcast episode later this year. But this is just us talking about it, episode, not beat by beat, because we're not going to do that. Episode by episode, sort of. Yeah. So,
Sort of, yeah.
so last week, if you may recall, last week on Yellowjackets, no, this was 2 weeks ago that we did the Yellowjackets live stream. Holy moly. So 2 weeks ago, we started by rating the season overall. So we had covered episodes 1 through 4. And we rated it by ears. It was ears, right, Carla?
Yes, it was Jackie ear specifically.
Yes, Jackie ears. So, Carla, on a scale of 1 to 5 Jackie ears, still the most fucked up thing. How many Jackie ears do you give episode 5 of Yellowjackets?
I have to give this a solid 4.5 Jackie ears. Yeah, like four complete Jackie ears and a half Jackie ear.
Is that just the tip? Sorry.
No, because just the lobe. No, it has to be like from the lobe to like the mid ear part, like not the big juicy round part, like that nice tough cartilage. I don't know, like the ear that Shauna ate a couple of episodes ago just looked like kind of soft. I was like, I don't think ears are that soft. But again, I don't have a degree in dead character anatomy, so we're just gonna stick here with the ears. It was a very good episode. I thought I really it's a great continuation. Like they're great with keeping the flow going in the show, like keeping the tone the same. And I just I love them. I love them.
Love those Jackie ears. Yum.
Gotta love those Jackie ears.
uh I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 Jackie ears. I did like it. The only reason I'm rating that, and I think this is just blaming on my brain. Blame it on my brain.
That was full of Jensen.
Oh yeah, Jensen. Sorry, it's always Jensen's
It's
fault.
always
Um
grr, Jensen Ackles.
uh, but I didn't remember a lot of the stuff that had happened in this episode because I watched it so long ago, it feels like. And so I had to refresh my memory today. That's the only reason, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it might deserve higher than that, but it was just going off of that. Anyway, well, what I first wanted to start off with, because we did have a couple of, we had some cliffhangers, of course, and at the end of episode 4, one of them was that grown up Ty goes into, I love the name of the what was it, while you were watching, right? Isn't it while you were
I
watching, the
some
name of it?
yeah.
It's a plan while you were sleeping, and goes into Van's video store, and they say hello to each other. And last week or a couple weeks ago, Carla had mentioned this theory that she has that maybe Van is like dead, and this is all in Ty's head. I think this episode that starts, you see Ty you see Van before you see
Mhm.
Ty. I think this episode proves that theory is wrong,
Which
Carla.
I hate, by the way, because my theory is amazing. I really like my theory.
But what do you think of adult Van, who of course is played by Lauren Ambrose, who we discussed, Carla and I, last year on one of our longest episodes ever. It was over 3 hours long. We discussed 6 Feet Under. So go back and listen to that or watch it. It's one of our live streams. So I know you're disappointed that that theory was wrong, right? Yeah.
I keep trying to like be like, well, maybe it's not, but I do this so often with shows where I'm like, I have this amazing theory, and then I just keep like, building it up in my head and like finding, you know, what's it called? Like proof of my theory being correct. And then being like, the show ends and my thing never panned out, and I'm like, how? My idea was so brilliant. But yeah, I was devastated to see that it looks like Fan made it out alive. Good for her. And living her not worst life, but also not best. She's living this like kind of sad life in this little tiny town where kids have never heard of a VCR
Ugh.
and don't know what VHSs are. You know, I think like once every 6 months or so, we talk in front of my son about VHS and VCRs just so that he knows the lingo, so he can at least be that cool. You know,
Oh.
of course, our definition of cool is extremely subjective. Um, but I love that it was Lauren Ambrose playing older Van. I think she is perfect, perfect, perfect for this role. I love her so much. I think she is she's intriguing in this role. The casting department for the show is just amazing. Like they have hit it out of the park in every single casting choice that they've made. And Van, I have so much to say about Van, but I'm gonna just kind of wrap it up in saying that Lauren Ambrose is amazing, and her chemistry with Van's Van's chemistry with Thaisa, with older Thaisa, is still like so off the charts. And she doesn't even really like Thaisa at this point. She's like, huh, here again,
Mhm.
here you are again. It's not exactly what I wanted, but this was my crappy life anyway.
That's why I'm wondering if we're gonna see, what happened between them, like, see it, like, in flashbacks. I'm assuming we are eventually gonna see because it sounds like they were together for quite a while after they got back, and so it'll be interesting to see, what happened with them.
Well,
But
probably a decapitated dog on some altar under the basement of, like, their apartment, I don't know.
man, how many dogs she decapitated? Jeez.
I think that maybe they should ban her for adopting dogs.
Yeah,
Somebody needs to make
yeah.
an anonymous tip to the shelters and be like, "Hey, so, our Senator Thaisa,
Decapitates dogs.
don't know why, but it's just a thing she does."
Whoever runs against her in the next election will definitely be like, I can see the ad.
Like, kinda, like, dark and murky and, like, a deep voice going like, "Do you know where your dog is?" Dreadful music, dreadful music, dreadful music. "Have you checked Senator Thaisa's basement?
Oh my gosh. Aw.
Did you know that roughly half the population of dogs in this town have mysteriously disappeared?" Yeah. Okay. So, but then again, I'm just because political ads are not exactly like, 100%
That's true.
accurate. So I'm just kind of, going with that flow. If any disreputable politicians want to hire me, um, let's go for it. Give me hundreds of thousands of dollars to spin, gold out of air.
I love that you say disreputable politician.
I mean, is anybody reputable gonna come to me? I don't think so.
Okay. Wow, that's like a big insult on yourself, I think. But
I am
hey,
just being honest with the people.
give the people what they want.
Give the people the truth.
The anyway, uh, but no, I agree with the casting. The casting is perfect. I've liked Lauren Ambrose since 6 Feet Under, of course, and it's nice to see her in a really, really grown up role. And yes, it made me feel very old when those kids went in there like these boxy things. I'm like, yes. And it's so funny because I just had a memory pop up on my phone from like 2009, I believe it was. And there was a picture of some people in the background. You can see my TV that was like a huge TV, one of those that weighed like, I don't know, like 90 pounds or something. And then on top of it, or in one of the shelvings behind there, there's the DVD player. Well, first there's the cable box, then there's the DVD player, and then on top of that is a VCR. Like, oh my
Yes,
gosh.
a proper stack of electronics. Yes.
Yep, yep. And now I just have
The
my
kids these
Blu-ray.
days will never know what it's like to have to, figure out the splitters and
Oh,
the AUX
splitters.
cables and, like getting a converter or getting, extra cables and all of these things because everybody's now on their Wi-Fi's with their wirelesses and their streaming systems.
No, it's true. You'd have to get the splitter because I'm not saying that you should steal cable, but you'd get the splitter so that you could have cable in your bedroom and out there. You would everybody did this. There's a I was rewatching Mad About You, and there's a whole episode where Paul doesn't want to do this because he's like, that's not okay. And Jamie is like, yeah, I want to do this. So they set it up in the middle of like when he's away and Jamie gets it. It's probably Ira to help and stuff and sets it up. And then they're in their bedroom at night, watching TV in the bedroom. And then all of a sudden they get the porno channel. And Paul's like, I didn't know we got this. And she's like, yeah, it must have been included in the package. And then the picture gets fuzzy. And Paul's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. We're paying so much for this. So he calls up the cable company.
Oh no.
Long story short, it ends up going to like in the end, they end up having accidentally cutting the power in the whole city of New York City. So that's a long story short. But anyway, I know that has nothing to do with Yellow Jacket.
You know you know what? This has to have been the same time that Friends had its blackout episode.
Oh yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, those were
they were the same
popular.
network. They even had Ursula, Phoebe's twin. Anyway, yes, back to Yellowjackets.
But around that time, we had our Yellow Jackets trapped. They couldn't watch Friends or Mad About You.
They missed out on so much pop culture history.
They were too busy trying to survive and eating their friends.
Yeah.
So back in time,
Whew.
um, back on the I always say island. We don't really know where they are, but back on the deserted forest area, we have a lot going on there. And one thing that I mean, wow, that's the end of the episode. I guess we shouldn't start with the end of the episode there, but excuse me, there is a lot going on here where this is the one where they have the competition, right?
Hmm.
Between yes, okay. So the competition between Natalie and Lottie to see who can go find food for them, and if Natalie can use the gun and find it, or if Lottie can use her powers to go find the food. And also in the present day, we've got the adult Natalie and trying to figure out stuff about the adult Lottie and her cult. So, what do you think about this dynamic between? I mean, we saw a little bit of already, but between Natalie and Lottie, and
It's I think there's a lot of jealousy from Natalie that because Natalie, when she was younger, especially, didn't do anything to end up getting classified like a weirdo like she is. And she's kind of treated with, with like a 10-foot pole where people are like tentatively okay with her being there, but nobody really gets close to her except for Travis. Um, and there's the whole lore of her having killed her father, and it's like, it was justifiable. So like, but it's just like that huge stigma that she carries, which is just incredibly unfair. It's like they don't know what to do with her. They don't know what to do with her, so the best thing to do is stay away from her. Meanwhile, Lottie seems to have like all of this charisma, and she seems to have a lot of the her fellow strandees kind of like under a spell of sorts. Like they listen to her, they rally around her, even if they don't believe in her rituals, they participate in them because they find them, whether they admit it to themselves or not, they find them soothing. They find something in there worth going back for, because even if you like Lottie a ton, I don't think that you just go there just to support her and her visions and stuff. Um, so they don't treat her the way that they treat Natalie, and I think that Natalie is maybe jealous of that, because to Natalie it's like, don't you people see that Lottie is just like, there's something wrong with this girl, and that there's, she's a scammer, she's a con, um she's she has all of these beliefs, and there's something clearly wrong with her. um and as far as Lottie is concerned, at least in their younger years, she seems to genuinely believe, no, she genuinely believes all of these powers and all these visions that she thinks that she has. And she reaches out to Natalie, which only makes Natalie more upset, because, like, if you're the outcast and like the golden girl who makes you feel like an outcast is reaching out to you, you feel kind of like insulted by that. You feel kind of like you're just doing it to ingratiate yourself even further to everybody else. You don't really care about me, which is um, a discredit to Lottie. But Also, I think that she doesn't give the other girls enough of a chance. So there's like a lot of jealousy and insecurity at play here. Um, a lot of trauma with the two of them combined as well, because they've both gone through so much in their young lives. You know, Lottie with her mental illness issues and with the medication and her parents stifling her so much. And then when she came back, they had her going to like shock therapy, and they sent her away to like Sweden or something. Um, and that's very, I don't know, like they're treating their daughter like a problem instead of like their child. So at every turn, I feel like, maybe Lottie is trying to create a family of people who genuinely like her, because her own family doesn't like her and doesn't accept her for who she is, while everybody else does. So then when she grows up and she has the opportunity to create this huge community of people like that, then she jumps at the chance. And I don't think that there's like malice on her part in doing this. I think she genuinely believes that she's helping people and that her gifts are um, saving lives. But I do think that's I don't know. It just seems really clear to me that they both, and it's gonna sound like I'm joking, but I'm not. Like they both didn't get enough hugs growing up.
Mhm.
Like they both had really crappy family lives. And instead of turning to each other for support, or rather, instead of Natalie turning to Lottie for support, she pushes her out even more, because she's like, we're so similar, and yet people like you. What the hell? And of course, that carries over into their adult lives with Natalie, like trying to discredit Lottie in front of her own friends, followers, whatever you want to call them. Um, and when she comes across the finding that she basically controls all of their assets, and, she has access to all of these very personal, financial, and just everything of all of these people, she's like, finally, I'm vindicated. Like, I always knew she was a scam. I always knew she was fake. I always knew that there was something fishy about this. Like, she can't just be a good person. So when she goes and flashes that in front of everybody, everybody's like, yeah, and like, we know
Mhm.
this. It's like, well, damn it, like, why can she command this much respect and trust? And anywhere I walk, people like eye me and immediately don't like me. Like, what is going on here? So yeah, like there's just like so much trauma there, and so much um like unfortunate, um the word that I just said.
Trauma.
No, I
Oh.
like I just said it, but I just said it, like, just said it.
Oh, okay.
Insecurity.
Oh.
There we go. Insecurity. That's the one.
Y Yeah, they're actually pretty similar people, but I think that's part of the reason that they clash in some respects, or especially with Natalie. I think she doesn't wanna see the similarities with Lottie in some respects, um, and she definitely feels that the pangs of jealousy. I mean, and also the fact that she's like, I'm the only one who's gone out really, and I mean Travis goes there too, but I'm the only one who's gone out and gotten food for us. I'm the only one who's done all this. None of you are lifting a finger to do that. And so I think she feels very underappreciated. And I think she's always felt that way. And she's been treated like garbage by not only her father, but by the school and everything like that. And part of it was also because she lived in a trailer and grew up poor, and she dressed differently and all of that stuff. And I think with the adult versions, they kind of have similarities too, because you have Lottie, who had been sent away to Switzerland to, for her mental illness, but actually it was probably because her parents just couldn't handle the fact that they couldn't deal with the fact that their daughter is dealing with a tremendous amount of trauma, and they should be there loving her and supporting her. And like you said, they needed hugs and giving their daughter hugs. And instead, they're like, I can't deal with this. I'm going to ship her off to somebody else to deal with. And like I've mentioned on the podcast, that happened a lot in the 80s and 90s to kids, where it was another part of that whole Gen X latchkey thing, where some parents didn't want to deal with their kids and any of their mental health issues. And a lot, you'd see advertisements on television for places for kids to go. And it was like under this guise of, oh, we're finally going to give a crap about mental health. But really, what it was a way for parents to just ship their children off so they wouldn't have to deal with their problems, because those problems could range from something very serious. It could range from, it might be very serious to my child ran away from home, that kind of stuff. And so, she's kind of a victim of that too, I think. And then with Natalie, she, of course, has her addiction problems too. So I think that they are very similar in that kind of path. And it appears to me from previews and from just the way it's going, that Natalie might actually start changing her mind about Lottie, adult Natalie at least, and seeks comfort with her. But it's scary to me because I like Lottie. I feel for Lottie because I think she's someone who has this has a mental illness that she's never really accepted or really deals with. Yes, she takes medication, but I don't think she's fully accepted what her mental illness is. And part of treating a mental illness is not just the medication, but also the therapy side of it. And it doesn't seem like she's really doing that part of it. None of these characters are, and they all deserve a little ton of therapy. They should be
Like,
going to therapy like,
seriously.
I mean, oh
Like,
my
as a
god.
group, with their families, and alone,
I know.
because, like,
Blows my
those of
mind.
us in everyday life who have comparably steadier, more, I don't know, simple lives
Yeah, we
need
haven't had to eat
therapy.
anybody.
Right, exactly. Exactly. You haven't had to make, like, those kinds of decisions in your teens. You haven't watched, like, half of your team die in front of you, and, like, some of your friends die along the way. Like, so they definitely need some help getting through that, and it doesn't seem like anybody's actually either receiving that help or even pursuing it outside of very unhealthy ways of coping.
Yeah, it's really sad to me, but it is a really accurate, I think, reflection of the world. And it's kind of like, and also I think it's a reflection of the fact that people only give you so much time to get over your trauma. And then if it's been 10 years, it's been 20 years, it's been this, get over it. No,
Yes.
you can never dictate to anyone that time frame for getting over trauma. And also, if you have trauma in your life and you've had any traumatic events, you might think you're fine, and then one day something can happen and it's a physiological thing, and so you might physically respond to it and not even realize it, and then you're back in that fight or flight response or whatever your response is to your trauma. And so people need to stop judging people and telling them when they can get over their trauma. And I think that's sadly what society does. So even though us as viewers are like, they need therapy, sadly, society would be like, well, I mean, come on, it's been a while. You should be over this. I mean, and this is like even deeper trauma than the majority of the population goes through. And even the trauma that the majority of the population goes through, you still cannot say, get over it. It's just, it's really
Yeah.
it's really crappy, and especially if you have generational trauma, that makes it even worse, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's I wish they could all get therapy, not together, because I think that would actually make it worse. I do. I think if they got therapy together, it'd be just, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But maybe they could do a group therapy session together in a safe
Right.
spot and talk about their issues. This is never going to happen, but talk
Right.
about their issues together. But yeah. But speaking of the generational trauma, so I don't know. I don't know because that's the ending. So I'm wondering if I should save. I'm going to save Shauna for the last thing just because of what happens in the past. So I do want to talk about Misty because
Oh my God. That girl, like, seriously.
because
She's terrifying.
yes, because the last time we spoke, I mentioned, I was like, I wonder if it's ever going to be brought up that she destroyed the radio. And then she tells this one person as a friend, and then when that person's like, "What the fuck? I can't be
Yeah.
friends with you," then she
Like,
ends up accidentally killing her accidentally. She's telling herself it's an accident, but yeah, exactly. Give me a break. So now we know that's never coming out. That's never
right, exactly. It's like,
ever.
oh, learn that lesson.
So, and then Misty in the present trying to go into the cult and all of that stuff, and trying to push away the guy that is perfect for her, which read some theories about him.
Ooh,
But
I'm gonna want to know, you know?
yes, I will tell you when I get to my turn on that. But so what are your thoughts on Misty?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, Misty has been Misty from before they even crashed. Like, she's always been just um a killer in waiting. You know, like, it's amazing that she's not like a serial killer on the side. Like, she doesn't just have serial killer nights. You know
Mhm.
how like some of us have like girly nights, and like we'll just, you know, curl up with a good book, cup of tea, maybe some wine, some like soft music, and feel like I'm cozy. This is like a hotel, even though it's my crappy apartment. And just, you know, feel like you're the diva. Maybe she has like, you know, murder nights where she's like, just gonna go out there and like do a
Murder
little
night.
murdery. Some kitty funsies. Just a misty day. Just a misty day. But,
I can
you know,
I can see that.
right? I think maybe like that's the only good thing that came from the crash, that she didn't then develop yet that thirst for the blood, and that she didn't like start murdering people until later. Except for what's her face, who's already dead. So, oh yeah, Kristen, who everybody called Christy, I think. Crystal. Everybody
Yes,
called her
yeah.
Crystal. Which is like, it's so sad. It's so sad that you've been going by the wrong name the entire time that you've known these people, not only when they were just your teammates, but when you've been stranded with them for
Mhm.
months, and they've been calling you by the wrong name and you just can't bear to correct them. Oh, ultimate introvert struggle. But, oh, you know, Misty, the reason people don't like Misty is because she's creepy. And not creepy in a fun way, creepy in a, yeah, she might stab me in my sleep way. And I think everybody recognizes this, but because they're not Misty, they're not just going to take her out, which I think Misty would do if she felt somebody like that in her presence.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I think, part of why she kind of broke up with Elijah Wood, his character. His name is not Elijah Wood on the show. In case,
That would have been
just wanted to forestall any confusion, Elijah Wood played by Elijah Wood, not happening on the show. But the way that she, you know, because she's starting to feel like she can really let go around Kristen. Like, she finally found somebody who accepts her for who she is. And that's like, I think, a very common thing in this show, because it's a very common thing among teenagers, is that everybody wants to find somebody who gets them at their core and who really understands everything about them, and not only understands them, but still wants to be around them on an ongoing basis even. um, you know, it's what kept Jackie and Shauna friends for so long
Mhm.
because they got each other. You know, it's this whole thing. But so Misty finally finds somebody that she feels this way with, and so she feels that she can, just tell her deepest dark. She can tell her deepest darkest secrets, but this deep dark secret isn't just like, I shoplifted two lipstick ones. Like it was such a rush. And then like I did it like every time I went into the store. So I just have like a bunch of tubes of lipstick that I've never even opened. Hee 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 hee. This is I prevented all of us from being rescued, and now we are near death and starving because I liked being liked.
Yep.
And I think that Kristen's reaction was very understandable. Like that horror is very understandable. That like somebody that you've been besties with and that you've let your guard down around is the person who is causing you your deepest misery. Um, and it's unfortunate that she had to find out on the like edge of a ledge
Yeah.
because Misty charges at her. And to me, it's like partly accident, partly not, because it's like Misty wished that she could take care of her problem being having told somebody who can then go and tell everybody else, who are then going to ostracize her, possibly worse, for this, understandably, because it was a horrible thing to do. Um, but also I don't think that she really was going to go through with it. It just happened to work out that way. Um,
Mhm.
and so now she's lost her best friend because of her own actions, not just the tussle at the edge, but also her confessing something that honestly was just best kept until she died. Like, take that to your grave. Like, that's not something that you should really be putting out there when you're in a group that relies on each other because they have to trust each other with their lives. And you've already like betrayed that in the worst way. So, and then and like I said, I think that because she recognizes what Elijah Wood's character is, and she can tell that this is somebody who is like her in the worst ways. She is both fascinated by that, and she starts to feel that kinship again, but she's weary of it because she's had that before, and it didn't really
Mhm.
work out all that well for her. Um, but also because it's what they have in common is that those more deadly tendencies, and even though he hasn't shown that he has acted on them, like we don't know that he has done anything yet. We only suspect, and um we've only seen him being creepy but not quite murderous. But I think that she senses that in him, and so it's more of a self-defense thing of like, I know what you are because this is what I am, so I'm gonna push you to the side. I don't think it's gonna work out for her very well because he seems very persistent in a very stalkery way.
Yes.
Yeah, like, um, but her attachment to Natalie, I think it's just like she sees something in Natalie. They're both outsiders in the group. They're both the biggest outsiders. So I think that thing where Natalie, quote unquote, should feel some kinship with Lottie because they're both weird in some ways
Mhm.
is what Misty feels with Natalie, and so she clings to her so hard because Natalie is passingly polite to her, and she sees that as, hey, you're my best friend. Very sad, but I feel less sad because Misty is a creepy murdery girl.
Yeah, yeah, Misty is so, so creepy. Like, she is oh, she's someone that I would never wanna be alone with. Um, I would not be surprised if we just don't know it and she has killed a bunch of people and we just don't know it yet, and it could be something that we find out down the line because she would be
My
very good.
guess
Yeah.
My guess is Angel of Death.
Yes, I totally get that because one of the first scenes we see with her, like in the first season, when she's talking to that woman and she's very mad at that woman in the
Mhm.
nursing home, and you can tell that that would be something she would do because she would get away because that's
Mhm.
what people like her and that are like her, that happens. And usually
Yeah.
it's a lot of times it's women that do those crimes. So I can totally see that. That would not surprise me. And with Elijah Wood's character, what I've heard is, speaking of the stalker and obsession thing, is everybody think he actually is very much a Yellow Jackets stalker. And that's why he is fascinated with Misty, not because of the true crime stuff, but because of the fact that she is a Yellow Jacket. And he was obsessed with that. And of course, someone like him is going to attach themselves to someone who has the same energy as them. And and I foresee a lot of danger with him. I think he's going to become very dangerous and do stuff to like prove his love kind of thing is what I can see him doing.
Yeah.
And he's scary. And I want to say, I think Elijah Wood is such an interesting actor because he presents as this very, very boyish, almost an innocent person. And I know he's also played a serial killer in the remake of Maniac, but when he plays roles like this, which he doesn't always get cast in, I think he's actually perfect for these roles because of the fact that he does have that boyish look to him. So I think it actually makes him scarier, where he doesn't present on the surface as someone that you wouldn't trust, but the second he starts talking, even the way he holds himself, little mannerisms he does, he's scary as hell. So I think Elijah Wood is doing such a fantastic job. And I love that they cast him in this role and not someone that you might normally see playing a bad guy or a twisted guy. And I really appreciate that a lot. Once again, the casting in this show, casting directors deserve so much respect. Sometimes when
Yes.
they get casting right, who do they get casting right on this? I should look up who the casting directors are because
They
um,
are knocking it out of the park every single time. Like,
yeah, it's like
I mean,
it's
you get
cool.
these amazing, amazing people playing both the younger and older versions. And it's just like, how do you work that magic to have this specific set of actors together? And a lot of these are like actors who were like idols in their teens and who
Mhm.
were big names. Like I think if you're a younger viewer, you may not realize how huge some of these people were, quote unquote, back in the day. It's not like like their talent went away. It's just that Hollywood happens to young actors all the time. And Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci, Elijah Wood, um, they all went through the machine,
Yeah.
and they're still out here doing these amazing things. And they lived through a lot of difficult stuff. Um, and the thing about Elijah Wood being cast in this role, I think often about the movie The Good Son with
Oh
him and
yeah.
Macaulay Culkin,
Yeah.
which I actually really liked that movie back when it came out because I thought it was like I thought it was really intriguing and so interesting. For those who haven't watched it, Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin couldn't have been more than like 10 or 11 when they made this
Mhm.
movie. And they're both these little kids, and Elijah Wood, I think, gets adopted by Macaulay Culkin's parents, and he seems like a total angel. Macaulay Culkin's character does seems like a total angel, but he's secretly like a very scary, dangerous boy who's constantly trying to kill Elijah Wood. So, like,
And Elijah Wood could have just been like, "Here's a bee." Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, Fergie's even upset about that one. Fergie's even like, that is too far.
Aaron, it's too soon.
I'm sorry. Sorry. It just hit me, and I was like, okay. That's all you had to do was get a B.
It took me a second. No, it wasn't like a look of like I'm gonna stop speaking to you forever now. It was like it took me a second. I was like a B. Why? And then I was like, oh,
I'm sorry.
you did not just Thomas J me,
I'm sorry. Anyway,
Aaron. You're not my girl anymore.
that was pretty clever. Fergie got really upset, man. Whew.
Fergie is livid.
Or maybe it's
She's like, she's like, Auntie, I like horror, but that was horrible.
I know. Or she's trying to tell me, she's like, that black cat is back. Let's go. Sorry, there's a black cat stalking us. Every time we go outside, it's there.
Maybe it wants to play.
Yeah. But yeah, and the casting directors are Libby Goldstein and Junie Lowry Johnson. So just a shout out to both of those casting directors for the incredible work they are doing and stuff. So so just wanted to make sure to give a shout out to them because casting directors really don't get the credit they deserve. Sometimes.
Yeah, really. And these people are doing amazing.
Yes. Well, I want to get to Shauna now. We will wrap up our discussion this week with talking about Shauna. And the reason I'm ending with this is because of the cliffhanger in this episode. And I want to say shout out again. The music in this is amazing, but shout out for using Mother by Danzig as the song when Shauna goes into labor. Yes, kudos. I actually really love that song. And I actually I wrote the short story that I won my award for, the short screenplay, is all about babies and kids and stuff like that. And a kind of like it's based on a urban legend that's kind of similar to Candyman and Bloody Mary and stuff. But anyway, so whenever I see previews, because I've talked about trying to turn into a feature length one, whenever I see previews of it in my head, I always hear the trailers with that song playing.
Oh,
so
cool.
I thought that was so funny when that showed up. Anyway, so Shauna, I also want to say with the generational drama. So Shauna's daughter oh my gosh, figures out that she is dating, like she's going on these dates with this cop, which is super flippin' creepy, creepy. And she tells her mom and her mom's husband, who Jeff is like the biggest dork dweeb person. And
honestly,
although I really appreciate the fact that Jeff actually says, how old is he?
right.
And Shauna's just like, what? And Shauna wants to use this. And it's like,
Yeah.
seriously, your teenage daughter, you want to use her with this grown-ass man who's being very inappropriate? Anyway, but then in the past, Shauna is going into labor is how it ends. So we're going to see and then I'm going to ask you last what you think happens to this baby, because it's obviously not her daughter because of time.
Right.
So it can't be. So
I have unfortunate theories.
Yeah, I know.
Of the Spitfire kind.
Yeah, but the cast supposedly, and I couldn't find it, I'll have to look further, supposedly said the baby doesn't get eaten. Supposedly said there's no baby eaten.
I will accept that. I really hope. I really hope that's true. Because oh my gosh. Okay. Other theory is that they sacrifice it. God. Because like my thing is like Lottie is so into this baby, like she's talking to it in the womb, which like consent extends to a pregnant person's belly. Like I don't care who you are, where you're from, don't care what you did, as long as you don't touch a pregnant person's belly. Like that's just so rude and invasive, super invasive. I can't believe also that you didn't catch my reference to a Backstreet Boys song. Like I'm really devastated. As long as you love me, who you are, where you're from.
I have to be honest,
Aaron.
I don't know a lot of Backstreet Boys songs except
Wow.
for, like, the
Okay.
ones that sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and cover up my disappointment by just rolling on and talking about this whole baby thing. But yeah, like Lottie is weirdly invested in this baby, like weirdly invested. And she's like, this baby's going to save us, or this baby. Okay, it's a baby. That's a lot of pressure. Like it's bad enough when people are like, this baby's gonna be a doctor. Let it breathe out of the womb for 5 seconds before you start putting your hopes and dreams on it.
This baby's gonna save the world.
Yeah, like it hasn't even had its first poop, so maybe lower your expectations a little bit. But yeah, like I feel like it's a Lottie something thing, or maybe it's just like you know malnutrition, which unfortunately is a much more realistic scenario because of where they are and the circumstances in which they find themselves. Um, and I can't imagine thinking, like when they get out of this and she goes home and she re-encounters Jeff, telling him, so Jackie's dead. I had your baby died.
I know.
So and I could, of course, here I go with my theories again. I can see myself like thinking like Jeff feels like he owes Shauna to stick with her because of everything that she's gone through. In part because of him, it was very voluntary on both sides, but because of him
Mhm.
and him being like, guess I got to do right by you. I don't know. Again, getting caught up with my brains. But yeah, I just pulled a
Uh,
Meg.
you did flip that. That's funny. Yes. Yes, I've been I've been taking in bits and bits of your bridesmaid episode in little bite sizes because of
Because of how much Meg hates
yes, I'm
bridesmaids.
like the pain I feel listening to.
Because like I'm there like, well, Annie's gone through this and Helen that, and Meg's like, hate them both.
I know, and I'm just like I cry every time I watch it. Like I relate to so much of it. I'm like, oh
Oh
my
my god.
gosh. So I started listening to it Monday, and then a little bit yesterday, and then I started listening to it a little bit when I was walking Fergie this morning, and then I was like, oh, this is just it's gotta
It's
keep
painful. I
taking.
can't do this.
It's a good
Thank
episode
you
though,
so
so go
much, by the
listen.
way, for the plug. Yes, if you want to find that amazing episode about bridesmaids by two best friends who judge the hell out of characters and then decide to bedwet or behead them, look for Bedwet or Behead podcast. Please
Yes.
continue, Aaron.
Yes. Yes. So there is a little plug for that. But yes, I was like, oh man, when I see Meg next, like, you broke my heart into a million pieces.
Just cry into her arms, and she'll go like this.
um, but yeah, I think the sacrificing the baby because I've seen that theory batted about a lot on the internet too, and I think that actually makes the most sense. Sadly, because I do think it will be something that Lottie will talk them into, and it'll be something that I think will be because it is unforgivable, be more unforgivable than even the eating their dead friend. So I think that might be the biggest thing they're all holding on to. And honestly, this just hit me. Although then I'm like, well, how would her and Jeff get together? But there's a part of me that wonders if anybody else actually even knows about this baby because
Mm.
nobody knew she was pregnant before they crashed, before they did the crash, before they did the crash.
You do the crash. You do the airplane crash. The airplane crash.
Yeah. So nobody
Now I
knew.
feel
So
bad. I'm
then
sorry.
That's so we are just joking about stuff. Yes, yes. But I don't know. That just hit me. That just hi
Mhm.
Fergie. I just saw Fergie. I don't know if you saw Fergie's tail, but I
Yeah.
got scared. I know. I'm sorry that I brought up the bee. I apologize. I'm sorry. Um, don't worry. We'll be done soon, and then we can go out and try and find the black cat again. Uh, anyway, but so I wondered that all of a sudden. I'm like, do they even know about the baby? That would be an interesting if they never said anything, because although you could easily excuse it, like, and not say we sacrificed the baby, you could easily, because of this the situation, say it died. But yeah, I don't, I just don't see that they would do something as simple, which I'm not saying it's simple, but something as
Straightforward, I
straight,
guess.
thank you, as it dying of malnutrition. So I'm sure you just saw a little Fergie butt walking away.
Just like, oh, this sounds boring. Bye.
Oh, this is totally up her alley. But she said we were watching Abbott Elementary before we started, so that's her other show. She was curled up on the couch right next to me, just watch it. She
Well,
loves
every murder girl
it.
has to have her simple sitcom.
Exactly, and that is Fergie's. Um, but anyway, so I think that's probably what happened is they did, and be at behest of Lottie. And what's interesting is it looks like all of them are going to come together in Lottie's place in the present day. And so maybe that's when we'll, I mean, I don't think we'll learn in episode 6. What am I talking about? We'll probably won't learn until the very end of season 2 is probably when we'll learn. It'll be like the big season 2 cliffhanger.
If that.
That's true. Since it has been renewed for a 3rd season, so they might be like, we're not gonna reveal that until season 3. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's gonna be a hard thing to watch, I think, because I think anytime harm comes to kids, little kids, and
Mhm.
especially babies, I think that is harder to watch than, than any other kind of death. I
Mhm.
think so. I think that'll be very, especially if it's something like that, that'll be very, very hard to watch. But I mean, I say that as I was talking about a screenplay I wrote, all of that actually has to do with a dead baby. But I'm sorry. It's the story, the urban legend. I'm sorry, of Blue Baby Blue. Go look that up, everybody. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I think. And then there was another question I was going to ask. Oh no, that was the question I think I was going to ask. I think that was it. But we'll see. It'll be interesting watching the birth and seeing how that plays out.
My God.
I know. I'm very, very nervous for all of them involved, and then we'll find out more stuff. So there is stuff we didn't cover, I realize. Um, but for time and lives, we'll close out this one right now. Um, and we will be back next week, probably same time, same bat channel. You know how I say that. And
Well,
hopefully Jen will be here sometime.
yes, hopefully. Well, growing up in Mexico, it was el mismo baticanal, a la misma batihora. Instead of, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Man, I really need to learn other languages, like a bunch of other. I took like over 4 years of French, and I can only remember a few things. Like I know how to say merde, which is shit, and then je m'appelle Erin. That's it.
That's a great way to get around France.
Yes, that's all I'm gonna say when
Bonjour, madame.
je
Would
m'appelle
you
Erin.
would you like some food tonight? Oui. What would you like? Meh.
Mid.
Um, pardon? Je m'appelle Erin.
For some reason, that reminded me of Christian. I don't know why. I don't know why it didn't sound like Christian. It sounded maybe it's Christian doing his French accent.
That could be it. That could be it.
Did you know? did you? Well, you probably know because that's probably why Christian loves to come out to Florida. But for people that didn't know, Christian Bale, I guess he goes to Disneyland all the time. All the time. Like there are all of the like whenever you see any kind of photo of him out and about, he is at Disneyland in the same cargo pants, the same.
Oh my god. Dad, you're a world-renowned actor. Can you at least bring some new shorts? Dad, you're embarrassing us again.
I don't even know if he always brings his kids. He just loves Disneyland.
Oh, I've got nothing going on today. What shall I do? What shall I do? Perhaps I will. I'll go to Disney. Yes, it is time for a solo Disney adventure.
I mean, he does drag his wife along.
Maybe his wife gets sick of it and she's like, okay, Christian, like I'll drop you off, okay? I'll drop you off. I'll come back for you. I promise to come back. I can't do Disney again. I just can't, man.
We'll have to work that in the next time he's on Disney World. Did you go to Disney World? Anyway, I've just been meaning to tell Carla that forever and I keep forgetting. And so now I have told her that because when I saw that, I was like, well, that's because he's a dork. I'm not
Yes.
insulting people that like to go to Disneyland. I'm just saying. He's a big bad
It's
dork.
so late. You can't really walk it back.
Anyway, so we are going to go ahead and close this one out. So Carla from Bedwetter Behead, where can they find Bedwetter Behead? And you too.
They can find my wonderful podcast, Bedwetter Behead, which I co-host with Meg, who goes like this. On any podcast streaming service, especially the good ones. You can also find our online presence. On Twitter, we are at bedwedbeheadpod. On Instagram, we are at bed.wed.behead.pod. On the other one with the TT, TikTok, that one, we have 5. We still have 5. We may soon have 6 TikToks. I know. And we are there as at Bedwood Behead Pod. You can also find me and my art and my musings on Instagram at Carlatemis or my website, carlatemis.com. That's CARLATEMIS.com.
Whoa. My pen.
You were so excited. It's like, damn, that was a good one.
Because I was twirling my pen and I was also going like this, as everybody could see on a live stream.
Multitasking.
Hi, Fergie.
Yeah.
Fergie's back. Fergie's back. So, Fergie, where can everybody find you? Let's see if Fergie has anything to say. Fergie? Let me see if I can get this microphone off of here. Fergie, do you have anything to say to the viewers? No, she doesn't want to talk right now. Apparently.
I heard her loud and clear.
Oh,
she said that that you can find her on TikTok.
Yes, at, do you know it?
Schroeder and Fergs.
Yes. That's SC.
That's CHE.
No.
OE. Okay, I'm gonna let you do it.
That's Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. And what is it?
Schroeder and Fergs.
Well, no, it's long, but it's
TikTok. Oh yes, as long as but yes. It's my favorite song. I can't believe I failed on that one lyric. Please continue.
You be sure to like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/itsafandom-thing-pod. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. I don't know how people do that. They click to it and it pops up. Whatever.
Like and subscribe, and then share, and also comment below.
Oh yeah, comment below
and click all the buttons.
Give a thumbs up. All the buttons. I don't know if you want to click all of them, but most.
Okay, maybe not all of them, all the good ones, all the ones that say, hey, I like it here.
Yes. And then be sure to like us on Twitter at Fandom Thing Pod. No, it's in that one. On Instagram at It's a Fandom Thing Pod. on TikTok, where we have done more than 5.
Okay, we get it, Erin. Like, you know how to use TikTok.
I don't really, but I'm pretty proud I figured out CapCut for the most part. So at It's a Fandom Thing Pod, our website is it'safandomthingpod.com, where you can contact us if you want to be an interview guest on the show, any of the cast or the casting directors even. And I don't mean that as an even, just I think that would be a cool conversation to have. And also coming up very soon, just over 2 weeks away, is our May 20th marathon streaming event. Thank you. From 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's 9 Pacific, 11 Central, and 12 Eastern. And I'm going to end with playing our promo that features some of the amazing people that'll be on there. But also, I just want to let you know we are going to be doing some giveaways if you become a Patreon supporter. So go also to our website, ways that you can support the show, become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $3 a month. We just started this week. Starting this week, all of our Wednesday and Friday episodes are ad-free if you become a Patreon supporter. So you'll not only get bonus episodes, you get ad-free content, different various levels. You can get merch. We'll be doing giveaways. We're going to do a giveaway as long as you sign up by 9 p.m. on May 20th, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you will be eligible for these drawings. So there will be prizes, like you get to decide something we cover during one of our fandom, pop culture and fandom news episodes. And also, Erin A. donated a swag bag filled with like tons of posters, including a What We Do in the Shadows poster. There's a whole video on our Instagram. I'm not going to take all these out because I'm worried I'll get too many fingerprints on them. And a bunch of like comic books, a bunch of stuff. And you'll also get this little tote, Quick Stop Groceries, which if you know anything about Clerks, you know that has to do with Clerks. This was for Clerks 3 promotional material. Go watch Kevin Smith's video about mental health. And go listen to our Clerks episode, which is in our top 10 right now. So go listen to that. But go become a Patreon supporter. There will be other prizes announced soon, but we have some great guests lined up. So, and we're going to have Christian is probably going to be making an appearance. We're going to be doing trivia about me. I don't have anyone signed up to play yet. So hopefully people will want to play. I don't know why nobody wants to play trivia about me. We're going to have
scared to get it wrong.
Oh, it's going to be about stuff I like, so it's not really about but
okay, cool. So it'll be Bradley Cooper and Finn Wittrock. The answer is either one.
What about Colin Farrell, my future husband?
Good point.
Sorry, Colin, it wasn't me. It was Carla.
My bad.
But anyway, and we're gonna have supernatural trivia, which shout out to Sarah Barnick, who is coming up with some really awesome questions, some super easy, and there are some on there that I'm like, oh my god, that is flipping hard. So very exciting. So and there are lots of guests. So anyway, we are gonna close out, and here is our marathon promo, and then join us next Wednesday as we talk about the birth, Shauna's birth. So
we can name the episode The Afterbirth.
What? How many placentas do you get? God. On that note, good night.